Mayoral Memo with Matthew Dickinson from Dubbo Regional Council.
The Mayor Matt Dickinson joins us. Good morning, mate.
Good morning. How you going, Keegan?
I'm all right. How's the Northern Hemisphere?
Not too bad, actually. The cherry blossoms are just starting to pop out. We've been in South Korea for the last week, and they're a little bit late to come this year. In fact, they had a major festival planned in Cheongju, which is a city we spent most of the time in, and they delayed that festival by a week because it was a cherry blossom festival, and they said a week earlier it would have been a pretty boring cherry blossom festival with no cherry blossoms. So I think that was a pretty big process to take this whole festival. There were food stands, there was entertainment, dancing, a whole range of things, and they had to delay that. I can just imagine the organisers pulling their hair out going, when are these cherry blossoms going to come out? But we got to see it then, so we wouldn't have seen it a week earlier. So it was good for us to see it, and the cherry blossoms were indeed coming out.
Absolutely brilliant. I've seen you posting a lot of things on social media, and it seems like you're incredibly busy. I don't know how you have time to take it in.
Well, it is part of the process. We do find, I've said to people before, when you do go across for delegations like this, then the people that are hosting you are very keen to show off what they've got. And so they'll start first thing in the morning and they'll take you somewhere and they'll show you that particular process or exhibit or whatever it might be. And then they'll take you to a lunch and they'll take you somewhere in the afternoon and then somewhere else in the afternoon. And it's been a really good mixture. One of the things that I was fascinated by, but some people mightn't find that exciting, Keegan, is the water treatment plant. And I actually do like looking at water treatment plants and seeing what they've got and how they process the water. This particular one we looked at processes water for 880,000 people. So you can imagine the scale is a bit bigger than Dubbo's, but the concept was quite similar in terms of the way they're doing it and the process they went through. It was just a larger volume as such, but even just where do you get your water from? How do you have a good water supply? What's the process there? So you've got things like that, but then museums. So I learned something about the first book printed by movable metal print type was done in 1377 in Cheongju, and they found evidence of that, and they went through that whole history of that particular book. They've created a whole museum around that one book they discovered in a temple there. So you learn a bit about culture, you learn a bit about treating water, and again, just learn about the similarities and the differences with local government.
And I know it's probably worth a mention, it's all self-funded you travel over there, isn't it?
Exactly right. So we've got some residents of Dubbo here on the trip with us. We've got councillors. We've got myself and Councillor Shibli Chowdhury. And then when we go to Japan, Councillor Matt Wright is joining us. But the policy of council is that council does not pay for international travel or international accommodation for councillors. So essentially, the councillors doing this are doing this. We're paying for our own way, it's at our own expense, but we're still representing Dubbo. So I think that's significant to note. But even the residents have come along. We've got some people from our city committee. We've got some people who have been chaperones for us before. And again, they're all paying for that themselves. So I think that's a fairly significant contribution they're making to the betterment of Dubbo.
Something I've seen coming up a lot recently, mentioned on social media and in person, is something to do with these sale yards being sold by council or something along those lines. What's going on there?
Well, it is interesting. I've had a few phone calls and a few emails about exactly the same thing, Keegan, maybe from the same people you've been hearing from. But
possibly.
Essentially, no decision has been made yet, and I can't stress this enough. We, as a council, own a number of different facilities around the community. We own a caravan park, we own a childcare centre, we own a number of different businesses. One of those happens to be the Dubbo Regional Livestock Market, or as many people call it, the sale yards. We own that and we run that. The Dubbo Stock and Station agents basically control the sales on that. And we've had some advice from the Office of Local Government, and this is fairly recent advice, that some things that are being done there, they probably would like to see it done a little bit differently. So we've been exploring some different options, looking at the compliance issues there. There's a whole range of different things in terms of tracking animals from paddock to plate and making sure you've got this chain of command there, making sure everything's done safely there. So some different rules, I suppose, different interpretations of rules, and all of that is incredibly important in terms of what we do with the sale yards. So in exploring all of those options, we've also said as a group of councillors, well, should we consider a long-term lease like we do with the caravan park? Should we consider selling them off? All things should be on the table. If we're managing that facility in the best possible way, we should have everything on the table. And so we're doing that. We've got an expression of interest out right now. If someone wants to buy the sale yards or someone wants to lease the sale yards, then they can put in an expression of interest. This is non-binding. That's the great thing about an EOI. This is all non-binding. It would essentially be a process to say, here's what I would be happy to pay for a lease and here's how I'd run it, or a sale and here's the conditions around that. But again, we're still exploring how we would run it if we continue to run it ourselves. This is really good business practice in terms of the best outcome for the community. So no decision has been made to sell. A decision might be made in the future to sell, but only after we explore all the different options and communicate with the community about this.
Just quickly before I let you go, I hear the pool was shut. What's happened there?
Yeah, very disappointing. Just before Easter, Keegan, the New South Wales Environmental Health Officer advised Belgravia, who managed the contract for the pool, that there were 2 people who reported ill with cryptosporidium after using the water slide. Now, exactly as you said, crypto is a bad gastro disease. People get diarrhea from it. If it's an extreme circumstance where someone might be elderly, for example, and you get a very bad case and you don't do anything about it, you can, in rare circumstances, die from crypto. So it's something that obviously we're very conscious of. The process that basically happened, and this is not extremely rare in pools. There are pools around Australia that do have crypto outbreaks from time to time because it's a big bunch of water and people are sharing that water, so you can get a crypto outbreak. But again, the response was close it down. Now, the first thing that is the process is to close down exactly where it happened, which is the water slide. But our water treatment process is common between the water slide and the pool, so the necessity was to shut that down for 28 hours. Now, what you do in that time is you do a hyperchlorination. Now, the normal level of chlorine in a pool is between 3 and 10 milligrams per litre. A hyperchlorination is 20 milligrams per litre. So essentially, Belgravia did that, shut it down for the time frame they needed to, and then opened it back up again. So everything's safe again now. Disappointing that happened, but this is not something that's linked to Belgravia directly or anything that Belgravia did wrong. You can get a crypto outbreak from time to time in a public pool.
Well, brilliant. Everything sounds like it's back open for business. Just quickly, what time is it over there at the moment?
We're only 2 hours before you, so at the moment it's 6:18 a.m.
Oh, brilliant. All right, I'll let you go and have your breakfast. Thanks for coming on for a chat this morning.
Thanks, Keegan. My pleasure.
Mayoral Memo with Matthew Dickinson from Dubbo Regional Council.